All right, we're live. So when this comes off, we are live.
Yes, awesome. It's live streaming on my end as well. So yay.
Okay, perfect. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday morning. We are here at the Imperfect Action live stream. If you're wondering what you're at, it is the
Woohoo.
Imperfect Action live stream. Well, who am I? I am Rob Fenstermaker, former corporate burnout survivor turned kingdom builder, your kingdom builder. And why do I call this the Imperfect Action live stream? Because you know what? There's no such thing as a perfect time. It just doesn't exist. If you're waiting around for the perfect time for you can take action, you're going to be waiting a long time because that doesn't exist. I believe in just taking the imperfect action. Just do it. Hey, I got a couple things going on this week as well. I got the virtual Friday whiskey hour coming up this Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you've never been to the virtual Friday whiskey hour, you need to check it out. Just bring along your favorite beverage. Some people have asked, is there a requirement to drink whiskey? No, there's no requirement to drink whiskey. There's not even a requirement to drink anything. Just show up and join the conversation, do a little networking. Next Tuesday is the Iron Sharpens Iron community. We meet at the same time. It's just an opportunity to come together, connect with one another, and just be that person you want to be. But hey, this is a first for the Imperfect Action live stream. We are going international today. We are going international. My guest, Madhurima, she is in the future. She is coming to us from India. So you are 10 and a half hours ahead of us. You're in the future. Do you know the winning
I-
lottery tickets by chance?
Nope, not yet. But the
No?
second I do, you're gonna be
No.
the first person I
Darn
tell.
it.
You're
Darn
gonna
it.
be
I
the
thought
first
you could
person
give me
I'm
those
like, hey,
winning.
these are the lottery
Yes.
tickets here. You gotta.
I
I
thought you could give me those winning lottery tickets and so I could
mean,
strike it
someday,
rich. But
man.
Madhurima, yeah, someday we will strike it rich. Absolutely. But Madhurima, she is on a mission to make stress management fun. Stress management fun. Well, I can remember my times back in corporate, there would be times I was just so stressed out. That's why I call myself a corporate burnout survivor, because that stress can just take its toll on you. It takes its pound of flesh out of you each and every day.
Tell me about it, man. Oh my gosh. I have my own experiences with corporate burnout. Not the most fun experiences. I'm just gonna say that, Rob. It was the most
Yeah.
annoying time of my life. Top 10 annoying most times of my life, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my time in corporate it's come to an end. And, but there were just those moments in corporate where you're just, you're just trying to make it to not even the end of the day, just trying to make it for the next 30 minutes. Can I make
Yeah.
it there? Because it can just be overwhelming because, the expectation in corporate is that you have to be successful. And I get it. I mean, these organizations, they're there to support their shareholders, and you've got to do what you can to be that best version, but sometimes it just wears you out, and you
Yeah.
just need that break from it. And when you don't see a end in sight, it just feels like it's just going to perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate.
Yep. I hear you. It's almost like you're struggling to survive, which I think is not a good look on anyone. Honestly
Yeah.
speaking, I think we are not here to survive, but rather to thrive. And in a space where it just wears you out, it's not the best place, honestly. I think there are some really amazing startups out there. There are some really amazing places that are actively working on their culture, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
in my share of 9 to 5, all I've ever had has been spaces where it was toxic, it wore me out. Eventually
Yeah.
I was like, just the thought of entering a 9 to 5 is traumatic in its own way, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
just thinking about it gives me the heebie jeebies, if you will. I don't
Jeeves.
think I could ever, yeah. Yeah.
and too much stress. I mean, not only does it wear you out, I mean, physically you feel it. You're just sore. You're just
Oh,
tired. You can get ill, so
absolutely.
your immunity defenses can drop. So yeah, there's a lot of negative impact with stress that you really have to understand, and you understand how to effectively deal with it.
Yes, I
Um,
absolutely agree.
so
I think, yeah, I think the fact of the thing is stress is often viewed as a negative thing solely because it is something that it was meant to be a survival mechanism to help us
mhm,
get out of something that we were potentially in danger of. But the thing about the mechanism is that it's meant for short bursts of time. However, in today's day and
yeah,
age, all of us are constantly moving from one stressful scenario to another stressful scenario with no beat to relax, no beat to rest, no beat to reboot. And that is something
yeah,
that then turns negative because there is no stop to it. It's like perpetually we are in stress, so much so that it's normalized in today's day and age that hey, you're gonna be stressed, it's normal, it's okay. Like, no, it's not. No one
yeah.
said it was okay. I mean, it's like, hey, you're gonna be mentally ill, it's completely okay. Hey, you're gonna potentially end up having a heart attack, but it's okay because it's a part of the job. Like, honestly, that's one of the reasons why I love the shift with the Gen Zs as well, and how they are
Yeah,
approaching the work culture is something that was much needed, I feel, especially because it was something that was overlooked for a really long time. So, yeah, I
yeah.
can go on to
I
talk
agree. I
about that.
agree. I mean, I agree. There's a real reimagining of what work is. I mean, there's honor in work, but is there honor? I mean, how do I want to say this? Just sitting in a cubicle all day, just staring at a
Yeah,
computer screen and never getting up, just sitting all day. You don't realize that the toll that that takes on your body,
yeah,
physical and mental toll that it can take on your body. And I know that a lot of companies are creating these stand-up desks, which I've had the ability. I've worked with one of those, and it's good. I like it. I've even seen some of these treadmill desks as a way
yeah,
to help combat that. So,
yeah.
so when someone comes to you and they just say, Madhuri, I'm just stressed beyond belief, and I'm gonna make some assumptions here that the corporate life in India, there's probably a lot of similarities between the corporate life in India and the corporate life in the United States. And the reason I say
Hmm.
that is that I know a lot of Indians have come to the States to work. They've been educated and started their careers in India, and they've come to the States to work. So I'm going to assume there's a lot of parallels between that in how corporate life is handled in India and corporate life is handled in the States. So, as people are they come to you and they say, I'm just stressed. I don't know what to do. What's the first thing you want to do with them? The first thing you want to
So,
explore with them?
that's a really good question. I think for me, it's usually asking them what they need, because there are two aspects to it, right? Like, one, if a person is stressed out beyond imagination, they either want to dive right into the solution. So, give me something that is going to help me feel a little less stressed out, essentially, or help me
Yeah,
figure out what I can do to manage my stress. So, when we get started, it's usually two of these routes. Like, do you want to manage your current stress right now to help you feel a little bit more relaxed before we dive into the let's figure out why you're stressed out, let's figure out what's happening, or do you want to get started with the let's figure out? A lot of times people want to get a lot of that overwhelm out of their shoulders. It's almost like, a weight being released, uh, that they were subconsciously carrying for a really long time. So that is one of the
hmm,
very first things I ask them. If it is stress relief that they're looking for, we go through a bunch of things that helps us release some of the stress. So it can just look like breath work, some exercises, some stretches, some somatic
yeah,
exercises, if you will, that will help them relax the pressure that they are holding on to, get rid of that. And then
yeah,
what we do is we start getting into the space of let's figure out why you are stressed out. And a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know why I'm stressed out, or shouldn't it be obvious? I'm like, it's obvious to you, it's not obvious to me. I have
yeah,
just met you, right? And
yes,
that gives them the opportunity to say it out loud. One of the things that often happens, I know it's kind of like crazy, but a lot of times we have a lot of things going on up here where we
Oh
make
yeah.
the
Yeah.
smallest thing the biggest thing ever. But when we're speaking it out, that oh my gosh, I have all these things, and then when you're speaking it out loud, you realize it's just three things that were suddenly taking over our entire life, that
Yeah.
we have three humongous things to kind of do, but when you speak it out loud, it's the three tiniest things. Is something that, for example, you would feel this, like, you're like, oh my gosh, I have so many tasks today, I'm so overwhelmed, I have so much to get done. But then when you
Yeah.
sit down and start writing what you have to do, it's like 3 to 5 tasks that you can
Yeah.
get done. But the minute it's out there and not up here, it releases some of that stress as well, that oh, we can actually do this, we don't have to like struggle through it, all we need to do is plan for it. So we get started with figuring out why you're stressed out, and then looking at, so there are once again different elements to it. If they are going through my
Yeah.
one-on-one session, it's a lot of times figuring out one of the biggest problems that they're facing and what are some of the solutions that we can come up with to help them manage that stress and prevent it from happening in the future. And so when we are having that kind of a conversation, there's a lot of fun strategies that come into place. There's a lot of, well, what can we do that this would align with you, that this would make you be like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. Like for some people,
Yeah.
if I tell them, hey, the second you wake up, I want you to put on your favorite song on your phone, go to Spotify, go to YouTube, and start dancing. They're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, you like that, don't you? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, do that. That's a great way to set the tone for the day and release any of the tension or anything that you might be holding on to. Because a lot of people
Yeah.
wake up stressed. You know what I mean? They're like,
Yes.
oh my God, I
Yeah.
have so many things to do and blah, blah, blah. But then when you
And then
set the tone, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and they don't. Well, no, they don't sleep well at night. That stress is taken. You kind of said one thing there. Breath work. Breath is so powerful, and because we are, I can speak for here in the States, and probably some truth in India. We are definitely an underhydrated and under breath work society. Proper
Yeah,
hydration and breath work make so much difference. So much
I
difference because you
absolutely
got to
agree.
feed your brain.
Yeah,
Hydration and oxygen feeds your brain. And that's, that
absolutely.
6 inch space between our ears. That's where a lot of this stress manifests itself through
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah, no, I absolutely hear you, because one, stress, the very basic definition of stress is it's a series of survival mechanisms that happens. It's a
Mhm.
physiological shift in your body that helps you survive something that is real or perceived threat to you. So any
Yeah.
real or perceived threat. So in today's day and age, back then, in our ancestors time, the real threat was the tiger coming to attack, tribes coming to attack, and all of that stuff. In today's day and age, a lot of the perceived threat is, I have a meeting and I don't know if I'm gonna bomb it or if I'm gonna have the best time with it. Right. So you have a lot of
Yeah.
these things, understandably so. I am not saying that this is not stress, right? Like understandably
Yeah.
so, we attach a lot of emotion and a lot of, if this does not work out, I am out of a job and then I don't have anything to
Yeah.
survive, and then it spirals down into a space where you're essentially, at the end of your mental scenario, you're homeless by the end of the scenario, right? Like you're
That's
like,
it.
I don't know how.
Yeah. In my well, yeah, I know. In my experiences, we just for me, I would come up with these worst case scenarios, and it never happens. The things we worry about the most never happen. One practice that I did that kind of helped me, with my early morning routine when I get in the office, do the most difficult task first. Do that
Mm,
one first. I call it eating the frog. Eat the
the
frog.
frog.
Get
Hmm.
that one out of the way first, because what often we would do, I see many people do that. They'll knock out all the easy tasks, boom, 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 and they're 6, 7 hours into their workday. Then they got this huge task, and all this other stuff has come their way, and they can't get to that huge task, which carries on to tomorrow. They do the same thing. That keeps carrying on, and carrying on, just adding to that stress.
Yeah.
So eat the frog. Get the toughest one done first.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think, but I would say this from a perspective of all the people that I've worked with so far, is I have seen a lot of people who don't prefer eating the frog in the first go. It's not something that they quote unquote like. So one of the
Yeah.
things that I love inviting them to do is to sandwich the entire experience. So what that means is
Yeah.
you start off with some easy tasks that, oh, I got 3 of my 10 tasks done. Oh my gosh, that was so quick and so amazing. And then you carry forward that energy into eating the frog, which is the big
Yeah.
task. But then at the end, like to kind of keep you motivated, you're like, well, if this is done, I have 3 really easy tasks to get done, and then I'm done. I know my maths
Yeah.
kind of sucked there. That was like 7 tasks. So, like, fix it up,
Yeah.
you guys. But essentially that's the thing, like you sandwich it between 2 really great tasks, and so it's much easier to kind of like quote unquote eat the frog, because you're not going
Yeah.
in with an intention of, I had the most difficult thing. And so a lot of times people struggle to get started with it as well. Oh my gosh, I have to
Yeah.
eat the frog, I cannot start no matter what, so I'm gonna waste a bunch of my time watching YouTube videos and doing things that are completely unnecessary and not even on my to-do list of the tasks
Yeah.
that I need to get done, but it's just something that I'm doing to avoid the entire thing. So
Just avoiding. It's
sandwiching,
avoidance. It's avoidance. That's it. And
yeah,
you keep putting you're stressing about that huge task, but you keep putting it off. And
yeah,
and just my experience, that even those big ones, we know they're big. Once you get into it, you're like, this isn't that bad, and you start to gain momentum as you're making progress through it.
yep,
And and the other thing that has helped me as well is being very specific about what that is, outlining it. Just don't give yourself some vague description. Be
yeah,
very intentional in how you describe what you're going to do. And that
yeah,
alleviates a lot of stress as well. When you really sit down and write it out, you're like, okay, then maybe it doesn't seem as big as you're making it out to be, because you kind of break
exactly,
it down in incremental steps. You're like, wait a minute, I can do this. I can do this, and work my way through it. And that can
exactly.
definitely be a stress reducer. Um, so one thing I wanted to touch on, in my time in corporate, you'd
Hmm.
always get these people that just say, you know what, I just kind of want to go out and part on my own, go out and do my own thing, because I'm tired of this. I'm burned out on this. I want to be in charge of my time. I want to go, do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. Okay. But you got to embrace that entrepreneurial mindset. So, what the power of imperfect action and entrepreneurial? Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I absolutely love this question, Rob. So I personally believe that that is a really good mindset to have, that hey, let's jump into entrepreneurship. Sounds really, really exciting, and I'm all about that. Like, I am an entrepreneur who was extremely burnt out and decided that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna figure it out, I'm gonna do it all, I'm gonna. But then when you jump into entrepreneurship, what you don't realize is, this is something that I've learned from a bunch of conversations that I've had, is the fact that you jump in thinking that you know this one really amazing thing and you can make it, and you absolutely can. But entrepreneurship involves wearing a lot of hats, and that
Mhm.
can overwhelm someone really, really quickly. And a lot of times that overwhelm turns into this need of absolute control over every single thing that's going to happen. Oh, I am going to
Yeah.
control how, that's once again a way to kind of make yourself feel secure and safe, because you're trying to create a comfort zone for how you
Mhm.
operate in your business, which is a good idea. But a lot of times that control can lead to, once again, avoidance of the entire activity. You step into the
Yeah.
space of, until it's perfect, I am not going to do this, right? Which makes sense. I hear you, I am with you guys on this, because I was in the same exact spot in my life. But what you need to also realize is, this is a hard earned lesson, but there is nothing called as perfection. Simply because what
No,
you
perfection doesn't
desire
exist.
to be, yeah, what you think is quote unquote perfect, the very next second someone out there in the world has figured out a way to make it better and make it
Yeah.
efficient, make it smoother.
Yeah.
And so your perfection lasted just for like 1 spicy second before it disappeared, right?
That's it.
And
That's it.
it's chasing something that's inevitable. So I
Yeah.
absolutely believe in the power of imperfect action. As scary as it sounds, it's about getting started. Because
Mhm.
one thing I
Yeah,
hate
just get
more
started.
than, yeah,
Just get
it's this.
started. Just do it. Just
Yeah,
do it.
just
I
do
like
it.
I like what Michael put up there that
Yep.
how do we eat an elephant? We eat it one bite at a time. That's how you do it. You got to do it one step at a time. Yeah, the task may be huge. Don't look at the huge thing. Just look at the pieces of it that need to get done. And when
Yeah.
you start going through it, it's so um, empowering. It's so relieving, just removing that stress.
Oh yeah.
And in the entrepreneurial world, yes, we want this idea of perfection. It just doesn't exist. You just got to do it. And if you're looking for perfection, you're never going to make it as an entrepreneur. A lot of it, I mean, a lot of what I've done is just trial and error. I'll try it.
Mhm.
Does it work? If it works, hey, great. It's not working. All right. Well, maybe I need to readjust. There's a lot of that when you get in the entrepreneurial world.
Yep.
Um, and listen to the people that have been there before and have been successful at it. And because we all want to be successful, and sometimes you got to look at the best practices of what success is for an entrepreneur. And this idea in corporate that I'm going to leave this 9 to 5 and I'm in charge. Yeah, yes, you're in charge of your time, but your time is much different in the entrepreneurial world because you
Yes.
got to be on all the time. You
Yep.
got to be on. You got to be on.
That's so
And
true.
you got to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be intentional about your time as well. That was one of the mistakes I really made when I first got into this. I was not intentional about my time. I kind of came into this with a corporate mindset instead of an entrepreneurial mindset. And the corporate mindset is not going to work in the entrepreneurial world. This doesn't
Yeah.
work. There's some things you can take, ways you can take, but if you come in with a corporate mindset of this 9 to 5 mentality, no, no, no,
Yeah.
not and
No,
not unless
I Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, because one of the things that I've seen is a lot of driving force in today's day and age is the need for freedom, which again I understand.
Yeah.
But a lot of people quit their 9 to 5s to choose freedom, and freedom of their time, freedom of their energy, as they
Mhm.
step into their entrepreneurial world. And once again, I'm not saying this to discourage anyone. These are
Yeah,
honest lessons from what you
you're
can
honest.
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
because the thing is, a lot of times that freedom vanishes really quickly when you realize how much needs to be done to set up your business,
yeah,
right?
yes,
Like,
yeah.
you have so many challenges, and I like to think of those challenges as moments of growth. But that
Mhm.
mindset of the fact that, oh, a challenge is a moment of growth, oh my gosh, is something that came to me after 3 long years of being an entrepreneur. Because when I am in the challenge, I'm like, holy, and I'm swearing and I'm doing a lot of stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So honestly, I would invite you all, if you are planning on stepping into entrepreneurship, some key lessons to have is get started while you are working in the 9 to 5 space, so that you have
Yeah,
something, so you kind of like start running, but don't start from scratch, to honestly get as many people on your side as you can,
mhm,
coaches, mentors, people who can support you, hiring a team. Like, have some savings that you can invest into this right off the bat, because these are the
yeah,
people who are going to help you not make the same mistakes they did for like 5 6 years before you figure out, oh,
mhm,
this is the truth, this is what I need to be doing. That's something that happens
yeah,
a lot of times, is people are like, oh my gosh, if only I knew this when I got started. Well, guess what? There are a lot of people who are willing to tell you what worked for them and what didn't. So,
yeah,
absolutely have
yeah.
someone who can support you in that space. And yeah, embrace the imperfect action. Honestly, a lot
Embrace
of,
the imperfect act. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Because what you
yeah,
think is imperfect is not even imperfect, because it works at the time. It does.
yeah,
And you can
it does.
always
It
perfect
does.
it over the time. One of the stories I absolutely love to share is the fact that when I first started writing, I used to write a lot of fan fiction in the 11th and 12th grade. And in moments like those, if I look back to what I wrote right now, I am cringing. I am like, oh my gosh, this is the worst stuff a teenager could ever
I'm the same
write.
way. I'm the same way.
Wowsy.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? If I didn't start writing then, I wouldn't be writing at the level
Yeah.
that I'm writing right now.
It's a
You can't
process.
grow if
It's a
you don't.
process. It's a
Yeah.
process. It's a process. And hiring a coach is invaluable. I mean, I have hired a coach, and I obviously I am a coach, and you're a coach. And I offer a complimentary discovery session with everybody to explore what it is they really want to accomplish. If you want to jump on my calendar, there's my link down below, scrolling down below. I would love that opportunity to have that conversation with you to really explore. I know you do the same as well, Madhurima. You offer that complimentary conversation to explore what it is that they're really looking for, what it is they're really searching for. And
Mhm.
challenge is powerful. Challenges are powerful because we only experience victory through the process of challenge. We all want victory in life. We all want to be victorious. And I love sports, and my sports teams. I love it when they win the championship, when they have that final victory and win the championship. Well, they just didn't show up one day and for the championship game. It's a process to get there and achieving that victory and what it is you want to accomplish in your business, in life, whatever it is you want to do. It's a challenge, and those challenges just are what builds our character. It's what motivates us and moves us forward each and every day.
Yep, I absolutely agree, and I'm right there with you on that.
And we have to be willing to challenge ourselves. And sometimes there's those times that we need to understand when it's time to let some stuff go. So how do we control knowing what we need to let go in our life and what we cannot let go of our life? How do we go through that process?
A wonderful question, Rob. So there is this really amazing tool by Stephen Covey that he mentioned in his book, The Five Effective Habits of Really Successful People. I'm butchering
Mhm.
the name, but that is in essence the name. And he has this tool called the Circle of Control, and I have taken that and created a similar version of it for myself that works for me, which is
Yeah.
essentially asking myself three questions. What is something I can control? What is something I can influence? What is something that I cannot control? So when
Yeah.
life is happening all over me, like one of my dearest friends, Cara Jean, loves to say, what I love to do is make a list of everything that's happening. So once again, it's taking it all out from your head into a piece of paper, right? So you can
Hmm.
actually look at what's happening after you've written every single thing down. Once it brain dump the ever loving hell out of everything that's going on in the top of your head onto that piece of paper, what you're going to do is
Yeah.
segregate it into these three things. What is something that I have absolute control over, right? Like I
Yeah.
can literally, it's almost like a chess piece that I'm moving forward, right? Like I have control over where I want to put the chess piece. What is something that I cannot control? I have absolutely zero control over this particular thing. And what is something that I
Hmm.
can influence? So, once again, if I were to take the chess game metaphor, if I were to play some specific moves, I know that I would end up checkmating my opponent, opponent,
Yeah.
opponent.
Opponent.
But yeah,
Opponent.
opponent. Yes, there we go.
I know what you,
But yeah,
we know what you mean.
yeah. But that is something that we can influence, right? So what we are going to do is, if you were to take another metaphor, it's the past, present, and future. What we cannot control, the past, is something that we let go of completely. You can't change it. You can
Yeah.
learn from it, yes. You can take some lessons from it, yes. But you cannot change what has happened in the past. What you can control, absolutely, is the present moment. And what you can
Hmm.
influence is the future, right? So what I love to do is put the Pareto's principle in here as well, the 80-20 principle, where the I focus about 80% of my time, energy, and other resources that can look like money, tools, equipments, other people who can support me, all of that stuff, into the present. So 80% of my
Yeah.
resources go into the present to change what I can control and create a scenario that I am happy with right now.
Yeah.
20% of my resources goes into the future, something that I can influence, something that I am not attached to the end goal. It is something that I'm
Mhm.
aiming for, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay. Because at this point in
Yeah.
time, I'm controlling about 80% of what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
So that is something that is really, really helpful as an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur and in general, I used to be a really big overthinker. But one of the biggest things that helped me get out of it was this realization of taking a few deep breaths and asking myself, is this something that I can control? Like, do I
Yeah.
have any control whatsoever in this situation? If no, I need to let it go. I honestly need to do.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
process can be difficult, but it is a process that I need to give
It is.
myself time to go through. If
Yeah.
I can influence it, I'm going to spend about 20% of my time and energy figuring out how I can influence it and doing the damn thing. Imperfect action once
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
If I have control over it, I am going to spend 80% of my time, energy, and other resources to figure out how I can shift the situation to a space where I am more happy with the end result of what's happening right now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, asking that, it sounds very simple, but it is a life changing question for me
It
as an
is. It
overthinker
is.
was, can I
Yeah.
control this?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
thinking is the enemy of action. Because we start
Yep.
thinking, we see all the everything that can
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
wrong, everything that go wrong. But yeah, thinking is the enemy of action. I love what you said there. Well, hey, it's time for a quick shameless plug. Just Friday is the virtual Friday whiskey hour. If you've never attended the virtual Friday whiskey hour, you need to stop by and check it out. Bring your favorite drink. Madhurima, you are a sommelier. You are a trained sommelier. So
Yeah.
I learned that about you. You are a trained sommelier. We've had people show up and drink their favorite wine. What is your favorite wine? Do you have a favorite wine?
Oh, this is such a good question. Um, there used to be this really beautiful German wine. I can't remember the name of it, but it is something called as ice wine, and it's very sweet. Hold on, you know what?
Is that a Gewürztraminer? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Gewürztraminer? Because
I think so.
That's a
Yeah,
German sweet
yeah,
wine.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's been a
Gewürztraminer.
really
Yes.
long time. Yeah. Oh gosh, I used to love those wines because they had this really sweet palate to it, and it was
Yeah.
really beautiful to taste and drink. And oh, I
Yeah.
loved those wines. I haven't drank wine in a really long time. I'm not even gonna lie, you guys.
Okay.
I am more of a beer
Yeah.
person, but yeah.
Beer. Okay. What's
Yeah.
your favorite kind of beer? I need to. What kind of beer do
So
you prefer? Do you
it's an ale, but I
an ale?
usually like
Okay.
prefer brands. Budweiser. That's my favorite beer to drink.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Budweiser's a lager, but that's a lager. Budweiser
Yeah.
lager.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah, I do.
Budweiser, and
I
I have
do.
a couple of ales that I like to drink, but they're like
Yeah.
locally sourced. Yeah.
I do like I do like a good dark ale. The darker the better. Kind of enjoy IPAs.
Nice.
Well, yeah, and I enjoy beer. I'm kind of a wine. I go through wine every now and then. As far as my wines, I do like Chianti. I do like Pinot
Nice.
Noir. I spent about a year living in Belgium, right there on the border of France and Belgium. So I really got the appreciation for fine French wines, like a nice
Nice.
Bordeaux. So yeah,
Bordeaux are good.
and
I personally like
yeah,
Pinot Grigio a lot as well. Oh, that's a good wine.
yeah. I'm more of a red wine. If I'm going to drink wine, I prefer more reds. And
Yeah.
then I did get to visit the Champagne region in France. And
Nice.
So
Which
yeah, so
one?
I went to. I went to the Champagne region, so I went to the Taittinger Winery, which was a very because everything's it was this winery was started. I don't think it was like 500 or 600 years ago by monks, so
Dang,
everything
yeah.
was underground in a cave. And Taittinger Champagne, that's one of I think that's one of the bigger brands of champagne. And
Yeah.
what I've learned is that if it's called champagne, it has to be made in the Champagne
In
region of
Champagne
France.
region of France.
Otherwise, it is just sparkling wine.
Sparkling
Like
wine.
there's sparkling, like California. There's a lot of sparkling wines in California. They cannot call it champagne. It needs to be
Yep.
called sparkling wine, just like
Yeah.
Bordeaux. It needs to be
Yeah.
made in the Bordeaux region of France. So
Yeah.
just some things
They,
I learned. So
they were really particular with that, and I absolutely love the story of how champagne came to be as well. And I don't know if you guys have heard it, but essentially the best part of the story, I won't dive into the story because we are all
okay.
about imperfect action today. But
Well, no, hey, that's imperfect. You said so. Obviously, it was started imperfectly. So there you go.
yeah, yeah,
We're swerving
yeah.
right into it.
Exactly. And the best thing about the story that I actually like is when the winemaker actually tasted the wine, he was unsure
Yeah.
about how it was going to taste because it was extra bubbly and they were like, oh my gosh, it's all spoiled. But then when he tasted it, he was like, come taste the stars with me. I was like, ah. That's such a good line. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, well, wine definitely has its place. And so does whiskey, the Virtual Friday Whiskey Hour. So, all right, let's get back to stress, how to manage stress. So, when I was deep in my stress times in
Mhm.
corporate, one of the things that I always would do when I would get home from work is I would just jump on my bike and start riding, just ride. And that motion, that physical activity helped.
Mhm.
It definitely helped me. But what are some two or three things you would tell somebody the best ways of how they can manage their stress throughout the day, end of the day? You mentioned dance, so obviously you think
Yeah.
movement is important.
Yeah.
Anything,
So
and what else?
yeah, so I love that question because how to manage your stress is a very loaded question with a bunch of responses out there. But at the very core of it all, all boils down to three major thingies, I would say. The very first one being movement. Movement is always good to release a lot of that tension that we are
Yeah.
holding on to. That can look like simply stretching, going on a run, going on a walk, or dancing if you like dancing. Um,
Hmm.
the second one is a lot of emotional regulation. So a lot of times we carry a lot of emotions within ourselves, but we kind of like all boil it down, and we are like, we put it under a lock and key, and we are like, never am I gonna open this. But guess what, it is already opening. It's like a champagne bottle, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
It pops.
one day someone's gonna open that cork, it's gonna pop.
Yeah.
You're gonna fear
Yep.
when you're going to burst at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
having to regulate your emotions in any way whatsoever, there are a bunch of tools and techniques out there to help you regulate your
Hmm.
emotions. Some simple ways are allowing yourself to cry. I know it sounds very fluffy, but it is a really good way to manage your stress. If it
Hmm.
has been building up, allowing yourself to cry, allowing yourself to express and experience all your emotions without any
Yeah.
shame or judgment attached to it is something that can really help you out a lot. And the third one is breath work. Breath work is really huge, and I know it's coming kind of full circle to what we were talking about earlier, Rob, because what
Yeah.
breath work allows us to do is, breath essentially is one of the only systems, I would say, that we have absolute control over. So we can't control our heartbeat, we can't control how our digestion is going to go. Like, we can influence it once again, but we can't control it. But breath is something where, you know what, you want to take a deep breath, you go,
Yeah. In through
so
the
you
nose, out through
control.
the mouth is the most effective
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, so you control how you manage
Mm.
your breath. And so the thing is that breath, our breathing system, is also connected to our vagus nerve, which then, vagus nerve is a nerve that runs throughout our body essentially, and is connected to almost all parts of our nervous system. And it
Yeah.
can trigger and stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system. I know I'm going a bit into the sciencey side of it all, but essentially our nervous system is split, our autonomic nervous system is split into, um, oh my gosh, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. I'm just trying to see how I
Yeah.
can break it down. But the one
No.
is the survival mode, sympathetic is the survival mode, parasympathetic is the rest and digest mode essentially. And
Yeah.
so what you do is, when you take deep breaths, you are stimulating your vagus nervous system. That is then
Mhm.
vagus nerve, that is then going to go ahead and tell your body that it's okay to relax, it's okay to rest. It's going to trigger and stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system, that's essentially telling us, hey, guess what, we are fine. So
Yeah.
that is, a lot of people focus on taking those deep breaths and allowing our body to relax and allowing our systems to calm down, and essentially tell our mind that it's okay, we got this. You don't have to freak out about it, you don't have to go into survival mode about it. And I can, once again, I can go really deep into the science side of
Oh no,
things.
I love breath work, and there's so many different ways to do it, and
Yeah.
that you count it out. Maybe there's different ways. Maybe breathe in
Yeah.
on a 4 count, hold it on a 4 count, blow it out on a 4 count. I've done ones where you breathe in on a 6 count, hold it for a 4 count, blow it on out on an 8 count.
Yeah.
And there's many different ways to do. There's
Absolutely.
different kinds of breath work. The one I'm kind of experiencing of late is just 20 deep breaths, just in a
Hmm.
circular, and the last one you just blow it out and
Yeah.
just sit and don't
Yeah.
breathe for whatever. I've gotten up to about 2 minutes. My best is I've gotten up to about 2 minutes before I take a breath, then just
Nice.
breathe in real deep. Yeah. So and it you when I do that, you really feel it. You really feel it in your body.
Yeah.
You really feel it in your body, and there's power in it. If you've never done breath work, my just do it. Just there's plenty
Yeah.
of apps out there that you can follow, YouTube videos you can follow. There's
Yeah.
people that are breathwork practitioners that if you need help, go to them and hire them, and they can take you through that process. But there is power in the breath, and just taking it from a spiritual perspective, that breath, the pneuma. That's the breath of God. It's been described as the breath of God, that pneuma. So there is something powerful about the breath,
I
and we really have to
absolutely agree.
embrace it.
Yeah.
We
One
really
of the
have to embrace
simplest ones that has helped me a lot with stress management is the box breathing, which is kind of similar
it.
to what
Yes.
you were saying earlier. So
Yeah.
it's whole like
4, 4, and 4.
breathe in,
That
yeah,
four,
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 and
four,
4.
four.
Yeah.
Yeah, so breathe in for four, hold for four, breathe out for four, hold for four. But
Yeah.
you don't breathe out through your mouth, you only breathe in and breathe out through your nose. And so it
Yes.
really brings a lot of control into how you're breathing in and breathing out. And it's
Yeah.
powerful, is all I'm going to say.
Yes.
And I am
Yes.
absolutely in awe of you, Rob, that you can hold your breath for 2 minutes. That's huge. Because I have gone as far as 1 minute 15, 1 minute 30 is my longest.
I'm not even holding a breath when I do that. I've blown
Yeah.
everything out. I'm
Yeah.
just, and I just, yeah, you know, um, yeah, and definitely want to be sitting down when you do that. I made the
Yeah.
mistake of one time just trying to stand up, and I'm like, all right, my knees almost buckled a little bit. I'm like, all right, I understand why you have to be sitting down to do this. But yeah, just blowing it out and just not breathing, not doing anything. And then you just take that deep breath in. But yes, breathing in through the nose. That is what's important. You got to breathe in through the nose. And
Yep.
I know a lot of people breathe in. No, breathe in through the nose.
Yep.
So, so, so I know you have an event coming up,
Yes,
the
that's called
Freedom
Freedom Fiesta.
Fiesta. Freedom
Yeah,
Fiesta. So, what is the Freedom Fiesta? We all love a fiesta. It's not like
we
Taco
do.
Tuesday Fiesta. No, it's not like a
Yeah.
Taco Tuesday Fiesta.
I mean, one day,
So,
but yeah.
so what is the Freedom Fiesta?
Yeah, so the Freedom Fiesta is essentially a global virtual stress management conference that's happening on the 17th and 18th of May, where our goal is to essentially destigmatize stress and raise more awareness around it, while also learning actively and passively with 25 global experts from around the world. Well, obviously global, but
Mhm.
what they are going to do is they are going to bring in their own expertise and going to share their favorite tips on managing stress. The idea around this is to help people get started on that journey without having to search online, figure out, feel overwhelmed with the entire, like if you type into Google, how do I manage my stress, you're going to have more than thousands of responses, and once you dive down that hole, it can get chaotic and feel overwhelming.
Yeah, it can
So
be
my
it can be stressful going down that rabbit hole.
Exactly. Exactly. Believe me, I've tried that a couple of times, so I know it's stressful. So, what I want to do in this space is essentially bring together these 25 experts that are going to look into all aspects of life from personal to professional. We are going to touch upon finances, we're going to touch upon breath work, we're going to touch upon our personal internal being, we're going to touch upon stuff like maternal overwhelm
Mhm.
and estrogen and managing our hormones and stress when we are going through the menopause cycle, all the way up to unifying teams and learning how to manage our stress when we are in a professional culture, as well as for leaders. So there are a bunch of topics in there that kind of touches up on all areas of life as much as we can. And the best part about it is that we are not going to go on lengthy lectures on how to manage your
No.
stress. That is the best part about it, because every speaker has either a 15-minute or a 5-minute slot. So what you're going to do is you get in there, you're going to have someone speak to you for 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you're going to take a break for 20 minutes. The 20-minute break is where we have the fun, where we will have some games, where some of the sponsors
Yeah.
are going to speak to you. but the idea is to stimulate that focus relaxation, and you get a bunch of tools and techniques at your disposal really quickly without people going into their storytelling mode. I absolutely love the
Yeah.
storytelling mode, but sometimes you're like, wait, what was the point? What was I, what was I supposed to learn from this? So we wanted to make it quick, we wanted to make it fast, and because we have a bunch of time slots where we will be taking breaks, we're going to have some fun, so it's going to be really really exciting, and you can learn a bunch from that space. So I would absolutely invite you to grab your tickets. It's for free. Guess what, it's for free. We wanted to make it accessible as well. So it's going to happen on 17th and 18th of May, once again from 9:30 a.m. CST, that's Central Standard Time, and you can grab your tickets from there and learn from a lot of experts all together. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. You said 9:30
AM.
Central Standard Time is what Central
Yeah.
Standard Time in the States? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I know you're in India, so you're 10 and a half
Oh yeah,
hours ahead
yeah.
of us.
So it's
So,
8 p.m. Indian Standard Time essentially.
okay. So it's a 2-day event. So each session, each day
Each
will
day goes
last.
for, yeah, each day will go on for 3.5 hours essentially,
Okay.
and
Okay.
yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of fun.
Cool.
Yep. And the
Sounds
best
very
part about
interesting.
it
So when you bring a
is
lot of
we
people
also,
in to share, that's always fun.
yeah, we have over 400 plus people who have already registered
Okay.
for the event, you guys, so you got to get your tickets in there. And we have a secret thing where while the event will be accessible on LinkedIn and on YouTube for 22 hours after the event is done, so that's 48
Yeah.
hours, 2 days after the event is done, 48 hours after the event is done essentially, we're going to remove it. But if you want lifetime access, you can get a VIP ticket that gives you a secret meeting on the 20th of May, that's 20, with all the speakers, where you can have conversations with them and ask them
Oh,
all your questions around, hey, so I had all these questions, what do I do about it? And you
yeah.
get like basically one-on-one time with them. So it's a bunch
Good.
of fun that we are trying to kind of bring in
Good.
there. So
That
go
is
to
the
that link.
Freedom Fiesta coming up on May 17th and May 18th. And
Yes.
then your website. People want to stop by your website, check
Yep.
some information out. This is your website. And what will they see when they go to your website?
They'll see a bunch of cool stuff. My brand designer created it very beautifully, I'm just gonna say that. So but you can see all the information about the work that I do, why I do the work that I do, as well as some of the services that I have up on the site, all the way from 101 coaching sessions with me to joining my signature coaching program, to if you are someone in the corporate world and you want to be like, hey, so I want Madhurima in my space, but I don't know how to kind of like implement her services into what we have right now. We have custom packages that we can work out as well. So when you head over to my website, you get a bunch of cool stuff happening
Hmm.
there. Yep.
Okay, cool. And you sharing any wine secrets on there? Any wine secrets on the website?
I mean, hey, one day is all I'm gonna
One day,
say.
one day. Maybe I need to start sharing a few whiskey secrets on mine. So
Oh
if they want
yeah,
to
absolutely.
schedule a call with you, here's a link to your calendar to go ahead and schedule a call. And then I'm assuming this is a complimentary conversation they can have with you.
So if you go over to that link, you'll find a bunch of things in there, all the way from
Okay.
partnership calls to coaching sessions to discovery sessions.
Okay.
So just go
All
over
right.
there, figure out what you are looking for, and then book a call with me, whatever works out
So
the
you
best.
offer a few different options. That's good. That's good. That's good. I think I offer a few different options on my as well.
Mhm.
But if you're not still not aware of what you're watching, this is the Imperfect Action live stream. You know what? You too can appear as a guest on the Imperfect Action live stream if you have something you want to share and you want to go. All you have to do is go over to my calendar. There's the link to it, and go ahead and schedule a date and time when you want to appear, and we can have that conversation as well on the Imperfect Action live stream. Or if you want to go ahead and schedule a call with me, go ahead and jump on my calendar. I offer a complimentary discovery call where we will kind of explore what it is that you want to accomplish in your life. Maybe you feel like you're stuck in a rut. You know what I do? I empower people to get out of the rut and start taking that imperfect action in their life to live that dream life that they thought was not possible. Again, this coming Friday is the virtual Friday whiskey hour. If you've never attended the virtual Friday whiskey hour, here is another opportunity for you to do just that. Bring your favorite beverage, whatever that may be. Maybe it's wine, maybe it's whiskey, maybe it's beer, maybe it's water. I don't care. Just go ahead and stop by, join in the conversation. Our last conversation that we had 2 Fridays ago, we talked about what does success look like in our lives, which was an interesting conversation.
I
It
can
was because
imagine.
success can mean many different things to many different people. And success is one of those things you really have to understand what it is you're striving for. And you know what? When you really understand, maybe that's something that can really reduce your stress life. When you really define what success is, bring clarity to what that is. And that's what I love working with people to bring clarity to what it is they want to accomplish. Next Tuesday is Irons Sharpens Iron. It's just a community I've created as well. I created this in the 2024, just trying to bring people together to have conversation as well, just explore some topics that impact us in our lives in a way that to empower us to be that best version of who we want to become. Because we all want to become that best version, because that's what's powerful. Living that life of intention, living that life of significance, that is a life that reduces stress. When you are intentional and clear on what it is you want to do, that's a great stress reducer. At least I think it
Absolutely.
is.
I
Once you have
absolutely
clarity
agree.
around that
Yeah.
vision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've seen too many people, they're little too fuzzy on what it is they want to do. And that can be
Clarity
stressful
is,
in and of
yeah.
itself, in and of itself. You got
Yeah.
to be clear.
Clarity is
You
absolutely
just have to be
important.
clear.
Yeah.
Yes. Clarity is dead on. So, Madhurima, is there any last parting words you would like to add to this conversation?
I would say get started on the journey. Even if you are working on your stress management journey, I would invite you to kind of like jump in and start with self
Mhm.
awareness around what is stressing you out. I have this really beautiful tool called the triangle of awareness. And what that focuses
Okay.
on is what is currently stressing you out, what are your triggers, what are the
Yeah.
signs that your body shows you that you're experiencing stress, as well as what are the things that helps you with relief, the stress relief side of things. I just wanted to let you all know that stress is very unique for every individual. What could potentially stress
Mhm.
me out could be Rob's zone of genius and vice versa, and all of you
Could
can
be.
kind of attest to it as well. So I would invite you to kind of figure out what stress management looks like for you individually,
Yeah.
personally. And if you are like, hey, you know what, I feel that but I don't think I can do it on my own, get in touch with someone who can support you. Yes, you can get in
Yeah.
touch with me. I would absolutely love to support you on this journey, but I am not the only person. There are so many people out there who could support you on your journey, so I'm not the only option. But if you want to get in touch with me, my calendar details is cal.com slash
Yeah.
madhurima dash sapati. And if you head over there, let's jump on a discovery session and let's figure out what stress management looks like for you.
Yeah, and I love how you said that, that stress is unique to us, and something that may stress you out is something I may thrive in.
Yeah,
And yeah, so it's a yin and a yang. It's a yin and a yang.
absolutely.
Well, hey, I love this non-stressful conversation we had about stress.
I
So if you're
love that.
stressed,
Yay.
yes, yes. If you're stressed, you need to talk to Madhurima. She can empower you to get past that stress that's holding you back. If you're stuck in a rut, I would love to talk to you because I will get you out of that rut. Don't forget, this Friday is a virtual Friday whiskey hour. I would love to see you there. Stop on by. Madhurima, I have really enjoyed you coming on. I've enjoyed this conversation. Anything else?
Nothing at all. Just go out this side, all you amazing individuals, and conquer your stress. You got this. I am really excited for you, really hyped for your journey in this world, and happy to support you in whatever way, shape, or form.
Happy?
Book your tickets for
All
Freedom
right.
Fiesta if you're like, oh my gosh, stress, but I don't know how to get started.
There you
Freedom
go.
Fiesta is
There's a
the
good start. A good start.
yes.
So if you're stressed, there you go. There's a good start. But hey, I've enjoyed you stopping by. I've enjoyed you, those of you that stop by to engage. Hey, it's been a great Tuesday. Let's make the most of this. Peace out.
Let's go.